Hello everyone and welcome to the Winning Formula featuring Chris Black, the Chief Revenue Officer of Jolera. This segment is specific to MSPs and running one. We brought in Chris because he has tremendous experience throughout his entire career running a successful MSP and now works to empower them at Jolera all around the world. I'm your host, Paulo Donnelly-Bletto. And Chris, I thought for our inaugural show we would talk about your background a little bit and why should MSPs, look to work with Jolera. We call ourselves the MSPs for MSPs, but why should that be important to them?
Wow.
So let's talk about your background first.
Hey, thanks, Paulo. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm pretty excited about this. My background, it will be interesting for some and not interesting for others, but for those who want to know, as we presume they do, I've worked my entire career in the managed services business. So I started in Western Canada at a little now non-existent company called the Graycon Group, which was a Calgary-based, I'll call it an oil and gas services company because our primary customers when I joined were energy customers based in Calgary and a few small towns around Calgary. I joined as a business development representative, having come out of university and worked in sales to help pay for my university. I joined the Graycon Group and my responsibility was to build the oil and gas patch, so to go and find new customers in energy. Back then we didn't have LinkedIn. We had the Yellow Pages, and for anybody at a certain age, you're not going to know what the hell those are. But it was a giant book about this big with phone numbers in it.
You let your fingers do the walking.
Oh, there we go. He watched the commercials for sure. But it was, it was really about networking, truly about real human networking and talking to your customers, asking for referrals, and pounding the pavement. It was looking for similar organizations that you believed you could bring value to. So at Graycon, we offered a wide array of managed and professional services. We also sold a lot of hardware and software. And, I spent a number of years doing that. I was, successful at doing it. And I built an excellent portfolio of really high value and, friendship type accounts. And somebody at Graycon decided to make me a director and to give me responsibility, which was scary for somebody that was my age back then. But I took over as director of strategic accounts and was responsible for growing our strategic account portfolio, which means going high, wide, and deep with those customers and being more strategic. It was less about asking, what are you going to do this year? And more about helping them drive what they were going to do that year. So it was building account plans, building roadmaps, dealing with C-suite executives and really understanding where their business is going and aligning IT to that. I was again successful at doing that, so they started throwing teams at me and said, why don't you manage a sales team? So I took over management of the sales team. I think one of my passions in life that I discovered and I never knew was that I really love to build teams. I like to find, cultivate, and grow talent. And probably one of the things I'm most proud of and that still gets me up in the morning today is being able to find people that are amazing and help them build amazing careers. So for me, that was something I take a lot of pride in, that we did successful. And then they asked me to get into marketing. And every marketer's nightmare is to have a sales leader come into their world and pretend that they understand it. And I was one of those sales leaders who walked in and said, I get marketing. I know everything about marketing. And I quickly learned that I didn't know jack diddly squat about marketing. So I went on a crash course to learn marketing from 0 to 1 and everything else after. So I did a lot of reading, a lot of studying, a lot of networking, and I asked a lot of questions and became what I would call a voyeur leader of marketing who came to really love marketing and see the value that marketing had and the value that sales and marketing working together, the power that could have for a business. So I got into that and I ran that entire function, and then we were fortunate enough to grow what was an amazing, one of Canada's largest managed services providers, and that caught the attention of a very large Japanese manufacturer of printers, Ricoh. And for all you Ricoh people out there, I know you do a lot more than that, but that was kind of your bread and butter. And they bought us back in 2015. Doug Gray, who was the founder of Graycon, stepped aside. I took over as the president of the organization, handled the integration and the coast-to-coast growth of the organization, and When my time was coming near an end and they didn't need an outspoken entrepreneurial business leader, they needed more of an operator. Mr. Alex Shen, our CEO, swooped in. He was a friend that had been developed over the years, and he swooped in and made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and brought me into what is now our global managed services provider organization, the MSP for MSPs. And I think one of the reasons that we're able to get the table time that we get with other organizations and other managed services providers, and one of the most compelling features of us is every single person that we've brought on into this organization. You're a wonderful example of this, and there's hundreds of wonderful examples. We bring in people that understand managed services natively. It's part of their DNA. It's who we are, who they are. And when we walk in with a channel account manager, it's not some person from university that has no experience. It's an experienced seller or operator who has worked within the business, gets the context, brings value from day one, and isn't learning on your dime. So I think the way we're approaching the market, not just with great solutions and capabilities, but that enablement and the power and the passion behind it lets us connect great capabilities with the right enablement and empowerment to the right partners who we can change the tone of messaging they have to their marketplace. And with our solutions, we sort of prove it in the numbers, and with the partners that we have, we can be a really powerful ally in their growth and trajectory within their business.